Hi friends. Welcome to our live Sense of Self session 26. I've learned in these last couple of lives that it doesn't start immediately because it's been cutting me off, which I don't appreciate. I feel like in the last live I don't know, there was so much content at the beginning that just didn't get into it. Literally all of my intuitive messages, or at least the majority of them from what I remember, but hopefully I left enough blank space at the beginning of when it told me I was live compared to when it actually goes live, because YouTube be lying apparently. But here we are. I'm not feeling great today, but I'm present, I'm aware, and I'm ready for the sense of self session. Let's do a little bit of a vibe check. Hopefully there's not too much background noise going on. I turned the air conditioning off for y'all because that's how sweet I am, okay? Because it's noisy, but the fan is going because I don't want to pass out in the middle of the reading. So, you know, we got to compromise, child. We gotta compromise. Oh, there we go, okay. Cleanse this space. Yeah, not feeling great today, but feeling grateful. That's interesting. But yeah, I am. I'm not feeling great, but I am feeling grateful. Grateful for being here, for sure. But also grateful that I have the space and opportunity to care for myself right now in the way that I need to. Super grateful for that. The candle can't stay in, so it'll just be here in the energy. I have 0 intuitive messages. I'm running on fumes. So let's go ahead and pull a card from the Sense of Self deck. Let's do it. I'm pigtailing it out today because that's how I feel. You understand? You understand? Ooh, child. What's my name? I'm so childish. My mama named me Amira. That is my name. I also like to go by Luna. My name means princess, so you can call me that if you're feeling, you know, froggy. But Amira will do. That's what's on my birth certificate. It's what society recognizes me as. All right, let's get this thing going so I can see what the message is today. And bluntly, go back to bed. Yeah, I'm not feeling great. My system is not happy with me this week. I have lots of dietary restrictions, and honestly, it's starting to feel like my system is too sensitive for anything. Not just in terms of diet, but generally speaking, which is in fact the truth. Being neurodivergent human on this earthly plane, my system is genuinely not set up for this plane, but doing my best. I hope you're doing your best today. Let's see what's up. Don't forget to like the video, guys. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Also check out my other channel, The Vulnerable Ramblings of Peaches. That's where you can find all my vulnerable ramblings, or the vulnerable ramblings of Peaches. my alter ego, if you will. All right, let's see where we're at. Session 26. Let's do the damn thing. do we need to know today? Happy Juneteenth if you're celebrating that holiday. Happy Friday if you celebrate that day of the week. I'm not going to do a magic trick. What made you ask that question? Was it the pigtails? Was it the sage? All right, let's see. Literally, my hands are feeling like sweaty. That's how hot it is. Way too many cards, but we'll take a look. Oh my God. Okay, maybe we'll take them, actually, because last time we didn't take all the cards that came out. We needed to the next day. So we have number 14, 42, 10, 18, and 32. This is reminding me of the lottery. Do they still do that on TV or on the news or whatever, wherever they did it? Was it the news? I don't watch that, child. Do they still you know, put the balls in the machine and say the numbers out loud? Anyway, that's what this is reminding me of. I'll say the numbers again: 14, 42, 10, 18, and 32. Maybe you're a winner. But 14 says resolve conflict with the mindset of understanding, which we did pull once before. We also have 42, accurately identify your emotions. Love this card because I am very much into wheels. This one particularly represents an emotion wheel, but there are so many wheels out there, y'all. So many wheels. Number 10, recognize denial and instead look boldly at the truth. That speaks to the cycle of grief. All right, we could have some experience of grief going on. I'm certainly going through my own experience of grief. So hearts and hugs to those of you who are experiencing it with me at the same time. We have number 18, which is also the same card that's on our booklet. Love this card as well. Release the desire to control people and outcomes. Yeah, I mean, that definitely goes along with the idea of grief, of loss. And the last card we have is number 32, censor self-defeating thoughts. So there's a conflict here. I mean, it could be like conflicting emotions that someone has experienced due to something that has occurred. I kind of want to break these numbers down, which is a weird conviction, but that I feel it. So 5, 6, 1, 9, 5. 5, 6, 1, 9, 5. Maybe significant numbers as well. So, like I said, there looks to be some conflicting emotions here and perhaps a need to identify the cause of them. Not just identify the cause of them, but the responsibility within emotions. There could be emotions here that don't belong to you that you are feeling or experiencing, or something to that effect. All right, let us put these back and pull one card. I feel like we got what we needed to get from them, and perhaps one of these will come back out, honestly. But let's see. Ooh, child. I don't know if I could do this again next week with the air off, y'all. It's it's a little hot. You're a dreamer. Love that. Love that. What do you dream of? What kind of dreamer are you? One card, please, here. One card. All right. And as I said, one of them will come back out if they need to, right? And here it is. Number 10, recognize denial and instead look boldly at the truth. So number 10, again, it reduces to a 1, right? And 10s in general are the end of a cycle, but it's about perspective. It's about how you look at it. Even in this image, it's not created by accident, you know? The way that you perceive it, the different things within the image. I actually noticed when I think you may have seen me look a little bit closer, and it was at this card. Hopefully you can see that, I don't know. But I was looking at this here in the background, which appears to be like a drawing of some sort, or some sort of, this could be like just artist or creative expression, I will say, which is a great method to process your emotions, process your experiences, and heal, essentially. But let's see what the booklet says. This card is definitely representing, like I said, it's the stage of grief, denial. But let's see what the booklet says. We have pulled it before, once before. Número 10, por favor. This card presents itself to you today, representing stage 1 of grief, denial. So we're in the beginning stages of grief, right? And grief doesn't have to be a physical, tangible loss. I just want to make that clear. Grief comes in many different forms and fashions. You know, and it hits people in different ways. I'm trying to like connect to this energy because there's some emotion or feeling or thought or conclusion even that's in the smorgasbord of what someone's experiencing here that is not theirs. It's like it belongs to someone else, or I don't know, something like that. Let's keep going. During this stage, we may not fully be able to conceptualize that something has been lost, either in its material form or within us. Grief is experienced just as equally when we lose a loved one as when we lose a piece of ourselves. Pulling this card challenges your sixth sense to acknowledge what you may be refusing to see clearly. Fifth sense to acknowledge the agony you may be feeling, even when your intellect will not allow it. Fourth sense to recognize the pungent taste as you continue to speak false truths in the midst of illusions. Your third sense to indulge in the scent of cedar and its practical ability to improve cerebral activity and ease any tension. Your second sense to hear the sound of your inner self crying out to your higher self for guidance. And your first sense to see the truth in the situation and understand that a loss has been experienced. I'm curious if any of those sensory examples stand out to you guys. There's one that stood out to me as I was reading it. And that was the fourth sense. So this card encourages your fourth sense to recognize the pungent taste as you continue to speak false truths in the midst of illusions. Yeah. So there's some sort of illusion here. There's some sort of illusion that's happening. There's something that someone's not necessarily seeing clearly. And that, I mean, inevitable, especially when we're in the midst of grieving. You know, our brain is doing this strange thing and trying to figure out, okay, what's happening in life now that there's been this loss. And so we can't see everything clearly. You know, our fears come to the surface, our insecurities may be heightened, or maybe they'll develop depending upon what we lost. So there's this sense of illusion that's going on that we're going to need to tap in to see something in a different way. And again, I point out the card again because it's not just about, you know, the number on the card, the colors on the card, and the words on the card. It's about how you perceive the imagery, right? And even taking it away from the card and into your life, how are you perceiving your life right now? How are you perceiving this loss, especially compared to another person or other people? You know, grief is a process that we go through personally. You know, other people may be brought into that process, but they're not going to feel it the same way that we feel it. Maybe having trouble expressing or explaining what it is that you're experiencing. And I feel like, too, there could be this block of not even fully, well, yeah, we're in the denial stage, right? Not even fully being able to conceptualize the depth of the loss. Let's keep reading. Contrary to what we want to believe, denial is a choice that we make to not accept or explore what we know to be truth. Sometimes acceptance is easier to reach as the last stage of grief, depending upon the nature of the loss. Typically, however, when we're forced to move forward with life without something or someone we value, the transition can be difficult, to say the least. Denial is also the state that we sit in when we know that a relationship is over, but choose to remain involved. If you're feeling brave, I'm curious, you know, what stage of grief you would identify yourself as being in. And also recognize too that those stages shift. You know, they're numbered, they're labeled, but some even say there's more than 5 stages, you know. But you know, I'm curious, how would you define the stage that you're currently in, even if it's not one of the typical words? Whether platonic or romantic, relationships where love is involved can be difficult to end or accept as over. Love is a powerful concept, but so is attachment. At the young age of 16, I found myself in my first bout of denial about a relationship. It was my first time engulfed in a feeling that I could only describe as love. As the relationship began to deteriorate, it was difficult to conceptualize its ending. I remained in it, actively ignoring the facts because my feelings had more of an influence. That line also reminds me of our session yesterday. I can't remember which card it was, but it spoke about that child. It might not have even been yesterday. I don't know, but it was a reminder to not allow your feelings to have full influence. It's this imbalance that often gets us into more trouble when it's time to make important decisions. Denial often leads to us making a range of poor decisions because we refuse to account for the facts that make us cringe. I remained in that relationship longer than I should have from one perspective, right? From one perspective. Denial led to poor decision making, and poor decision making ultimately led to prolonged grief. Facing hard truths is the only way that we can grow. This is not only the case when a relationship is ending, but transforming in some way. Being in denial about a necessary change is making a subconscious choice to feed our stagnation. So this grief process has the potential to hold us back in some way, is what I'm gathering. Let's open up the journal and get a journal prompt going. What song is that? Is it even a song? It might be a commercial, no, in my brain. What song is that? What song is that? Help me, somebody. I feel like it is a commercial. I don't know. All right. I don't have access to my, what I would do is hum it into Google and tell them to tell me it's like the best feature that they ever created, but I can't do that right now. So if I remember the tune after I get off of here, I'll do it and see what it is. I feel like it really is a commercial though, or a, what do you call those things? What do you call those things on commercials? Oh my gosh. My brain's not working, y'all. Jingle. Lord have mercy. Okay. It's gonna be stuck now. I really want to know what it is because I feel like it's relevant to the message. Do 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 do. I don't know. All right. Okay, friends. Journal prompt for session 26. What does my, and I underlined it because that's important. What does my truth tell me about my grieving process? I actually want to underline the other my, because there's an important little tidbit in today's message about perspective. I mean, especially when we're just talking about grief in general. Perspective is important. We also have to recognize that it's going to be different from one person to another. And I feel like another person's perspective, maybe even society's perspective, may be interrupting the process of grief or could potentially interrupt the process of grief. And so we're being called to look boldly at our truth. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. You are appreciated. Again, don't forget to like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Check out Peaches over there and their vulnerable ramblings. Sent to Self deck is available on my website. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.